Hello, this is the Ask Jasmine Money podcast. I'm Jasmine Birtles, founder of moneymagpie.com, and I'm joined by the political journalist Paul Osborne. This is a monthly podcast in which we look ahead to see how you can make and save money each month and have a smile as you do it. It's on the Money Magpie newsletter too, which you can sign up to on the website. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at Jasmine, and Paul is also on Twitter at Paul Osborne. And today we're looking at ways that you can make and save money with social media. Yep, social media, love it or loathe it, you can actually make and save some money with it. Now, you're pretty active on social media, aren't you, Paul? Go on, plug them.
My main one is Twitter. The thing that I've learned is that different social media channels, as branding experts call them, are useful for different things. So for me, Facebook is for keeping up with friends, not close friends, but the kind of people you might see maybe once or twice a year, or you used to maybe even, heaven knows, write a letter to. And now you do that with Facebook. Twitter is what I use for work. It's incredibly useful. I follow a huge number of news sources and interesting people and people who make news and things like that, and lots of other ridiculous things like Preston North End Football Club and things like that. No self-respecting journalist should take a thing that's on Twitter and just run with it as a fact on its own. Twitter is not the press association. But what it is a very good indicator of things that are happening, perhaps sometimes a little bit ahead of what we might now call the mainstream media. So go back 5 years now to the riots in London in 2011. I was working through the night when those riots were happening, and Twitter was a good hour ahead the first two nights of television and radio in terms of what was going on, where the problems were, as it started to spread from one place in London to another. And it was one of the first real indicators of how powerful it was. But the other really interesting thing now is the development in video. Is that you can now broadcast video from your phone, and that's come in incredibly handy for news gathering. Now, you mentioned at the beginning your Twitter address. We've talked before about how you were a bit of an early adopter here, which is how you managed to land this extraordinary Twitter handle that pretty much every other Jasmine in the world must be furious that you've got.
Absolutely, and I do quite regularly get tweets from a Jasmine something going, I should have your Twitter handle, you should give it to me. And I'm like, no, actually, I don't think I will, but nice to hear from you. Thanks very much. I haven't been quite so good with things like Facebook. To be honest, I've never really got into Facebook. I do know that it's useful, and with Money Magpie, we have actually a pretty friendly, pretty well-engaged Facebook page. We've got a pretty good following on Twitter, actually, at Money Magpie. Partly because we have a lot of competitions on Money Magpie, and much of the time people have to follow us on Twitter in order to do it, like us on Facebook. So that's building up interest, and we get a lot of compers who are constantly watching to see when we've got the next competition out. And actually, this is something that I do say to people, is if you want to win things, just get things. Twitter and Facebook are brilliant places to get competitions and get things for nothing. I mean, really, it doesn't cost you anything to retweet or comment or that sort of thing. You don't have to buy anything. All you do is do a nice smile, and you could be winning a car, you could be winning a holiday, you could be winning furniture for your home, all sorts of fab stuff.
It's an extension, isn't it, of the personal recommendation idea, because somebody's social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or whatever, Instagram, is a very personal thing. And I suppose what businesses are looking for is the computer equivalent of the personal recommendation. If you're saying, I bought this kettle, and it's an amazing kettle, and then you think, oh yeah, they really like that kettle, so I'm going to go. And so there is also that thing that you are effectively, as it were, lending your name to whatever that company is.
Yes, and it can work in an opposite way as well. And a lot of people now are using Twitter particularly, and also Facebook, to complain. And sometimes, you can complain to the point where you demand money back and you get it because everybody can see you demanding it. And particularly if you've got a lot of followers, you'll be saying, this is terrible, I need my money back on this, and actually I'd like some extra money for the nuisance and misery that you've caused me. And because lots of other people are watching it, it's quite possible that it's more likely they'll go, oh, all right then, So you can make money, you can save money, you can get money back. And also, thanks to the whole community thing, nowadays you can actually sell to your neighbours or local people for nothing and get things for free or for very cheap, which apparently you have done yourself, Paul, haven't you, on Facebook?
I have. There is a Facebook group for the area that I live in. It's a few sort of buildings on one street, and yeah, we have a Facebook group, and it has all sorts of things. Oh, can I borrow your car park space? And has anyone seen when's the next train? But the bit that's actually really useful is people will then say, well, I'm moving out and I've got all this stuff, and either I want to sell this for 30 quid, or you can have it. If you come and get it, you can have it. So I needed a new desk because my computer was hanging off the side of my old little desk. Someone in the next building down was selling an IKEA desk that had cost £300. They were selling it for 50 quid. And you just pop down, you'd look a bit stupid walking down the street holding onto this massive desk, but you've just got yourself a desk for 1/6 of the price. Similarly, I'm waiting for someone to deliver a ludicrously expensive washer dryer. The problem is it's going in the space where there's already a washing machine. So my plan is to advertise that washing machine on that Facebook group first, in the hope that somebody who lives on the same street as me will come and take it away from me, which is obviously far more convenient than having to deal with somebody 60 miles away who says, oh, I need to hire a van and this kind of thing. So that's the plan. So obviously, if you're listening, you want a washing machine, get in touch, because I've got a very good washing machine for sale, so, I'll do you a deal. But yeah, Facebook groups may well be the way forward for this kind of thing.
Well, certainly with our Clear Your Clutter campaign, we were in touch with quite a few Facebook groups around the country. They're not everywhere. They're gradually picking up, and they are basically run by, well, you or me or somebody down the road. There's nothing particularly official about it. Anybody can set one up. So some of them work well, some of them don't. But as you say, it's a good way of getting things for cheap or free. Or if you're a little bit entrepreneurial, particularly if you've got sort of big goods, you say furniture and whatever, you could be making a bit of money because you don't have the costs that you have with, say, eBay or something. And it's difficult sometimes to sell furniture and whatever on eBay because you've got the whole country. But if it's sort of local people, then it's easy. Another way, actually, that you can save money, I would say, rather than making money with social media is following brands, including restaurants, hotels, whatever, that you like, and waiting for them to give you voucher codes and money off things, which regularly come through social media. I don't know, have you ever seen one of those? Have you ever had one of those?
I haven't. What I usually end up doing is I think, I'm going somewhere now, I'm going to this place next week. I'm frantically Googling, going, right, I need a code for this because I'm going to buy this thing now and I ideally would like to not pay the full price. So need a code, which very rarely works. So this might be something worth considering.
Absolutely. Yeah, do follow it, particularly on Facebook. I think there are all sorts of offers on Facebook, but Twitter as well. Restaurants are particularly good on that. And also they'll tell you when they've got a special weekend. People like Pizza Express are always getting specials. I mean, I don't know anybody who ever spends full price at Pizza Express. There's always a code somewhere there for those. And La Strada's similar. And, a few of these chains, they're quite good for that. There's also now a new hotel booking company called Sheradil.com, which gives you money off your bookings the more you share their hotels through your social media channels. It's a clever idea and means you could potentially get 90%, that's 90% off your hotel booking. Pretty impressive, I think. Hannah Norman represents Sheradil in this country. Hello, Hannah. Tell me how Sheradil works. It sounds extraordinary.
Sheradil works by a user signing up to the app or by logging onto the website. And then once you're logged in, what you can do is find a holiday that you're particularly interested in. And then you share this via social media. And every action that you do via social media earns you credits. You can then take those credits off the cost of a holiday. So the more you share, the more credits you'll get and the cheaper your break will end up being.
So give me an example. What sort of things do you have to do and how much money, how much credits, whatever, would you get for doing these things?
So there's several things that you could do. So for instance, you could go onto Sheradil's Twitter account, for instance, and if you retweeted something that they had put out, that would get you €10. Or if you favorited something that they did, that would get you €10. Or if you followed them on Twitter, for instance, or if you posted something about a specific hotel, or if you visited their Facebook page, that again all adds up to credits, and those credits in turn are worth a monetary value that you could then get off the cost of your break. There are so many different things that you could do that you could end up saving sort of 90% of the cost of a holiday.
What sort of hotels are we talking about? Are these budget hotels, or are they high grade or medium?
A lot of them are actually through a company called Hip Hotels. So the holidays, they're all over the world. So you can go to Brazil, you could go to America, there's hotels across Europe. They're all high end, very unique. Each hotel's got its own character, its own story to tell, I suppose. So across the world, so there's a huge range of hotels on the site, from being in the mountains to being by a pool in America. The world's your oyster, really.
So could you potentially get a whole free time in the hotel?
Not quite. There is a minimum spend of €10, but even €10 for a holiday, yeah, is not bad.
Hannah, tell me again, what is the web address, and how do people download it or get hold of this?
So the name of the website is Sheradil. It's sheradil.com, so almost like share a deal. And you can go on either on the app or via the website. And once you're logged on, you can pretty much start dreaming your holiday, sharing, and then gaining the credits straight away.
Great. Thanks very much, Hannah. That's really helpful. And when it comes to making money out of social media, there are lots of ways to do it now. Some businesses are entirely based on Facebook, but Instagram is increasingly useful to anyone wanting to sell goods and some services. For example, Justin Rogan, who's based in LA, sells antique jewellery, mostly through Instagram. And she joins us now in the studio. Justin, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Explain first what you sell.
I sell antique rings, basically antique jewelry. I go trawling through secondhand shops, through pawn shops, through car boot sales, and I try and find a really good, cheap piece of jewelry where the person doesn't know how good it is, and then I sell it for more money. That's what I do.
Excellent. So is that any sort of jewellery that you think, oh, hello, that's a tenner, it should be 100, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, but I know what people like to buy right now. And right now, Victorian, Georgian, Edwardian is in style. So I look for that.
So how do you use Instagram to sell your jewellery?
I have an Etsy shop, which is Justy Rose. That's my Etsy shop. But Instagram, I try and take absolutely beautiful pictures of my jewelry, the best pictures I can take. I'll spend an hour doing it. And I post the picture, and I will say, if you're interested in this ring, it's in my Etsy shop, or direct message me. And people do. Instagram is basically a way for me to show my goods.
Okay, so it's a free shop front then, essentially.
It is a free shop front. I never thought about that. Absolutely, yeah.
How do you set up an Instagram account, and how do you get people to see it?
People think it's quite daunting. You just download the app, and with Instagram, it's all about the hashtag. You have to hashtag it correctly, and you have to know what's the hashtag that everyone's into. For instance, with rings, you would hashtag it, show me your rings, hashtag antique jewelry, hashtag ring, hashtag rings. And if you put down hashtag rings, you'll see that there are already 2 million hashtag rings posts. So you know that's a good one to hashtag.
How about getting people to follow you? Because as you say, great to have the hashtags, but is that enough to get the followers?
It can be. If you hashtag correctly, it can be. People look at you. To get the followers, you have to follow the right people. And actually also with Instagram, it takes up a lot of time. I have to tell you, it's a job. You wake up in the morning and you actually have to look, you have to scroll through everyone. You have to scroll through all the people you're following and your followers as well. And you have to make comments. You have to like. It does take time. You have to be pleasant. You have to have a little Instagram personality. There is an Instagram world. Whatever is your subject, there's an Instagram world around it. There's an Instagram collection of mugs world. There's an Instagram glitter world, and you find your little world and what it is you're interested in, and then you have to become a part of that world. And I did that.
So what's your Instagram name? How do you find it?
I'm at Justy Rose, JUSTYROSE. I'm at Justy Rose, and my thing is I have a hashtag Rings of LA, and I go up to strangers, and if they're wearing cool jewelry, I take a picture of their jewelry, I post it on my Instagram, and I tell a little story about them and their piece of jewelry. That's kind of how I got known on Instagram. That was my thing. Also, I do, and I've done it here in England as well. I've done it anywhere I go. I will do it. So that's how I started. But also, I used to be a comedian, so I'm kind of funny. You can't tell right now. I don't think I'm being particularly funny, but actually I am. Really, you can have to trust me on that.
I'm trusting you now. Absolutely. So how many followers have you got now on Instagram?
I have maybe 6,500 followers, and I want more followers, because the more followers you have, the more money you can make. The more eyeballs you can get on your product, the more eyeballs you can get on your Etsy shop, whatever shop you have. And also, people with a lot of followers get paid to post things. There are people in the jewelry world who have like 150,000 followers, and other jewelry people pay them to feature them on their IG posts, and that's what I want.
Well, thank you very much, Justin. Remind us again, once more, let's plug that Instagram page. What is your Instagram page now?
I'm at Justy Rose, and I like to take pictures of strangers' rings, and I also like to sell rings.
Thank you, Justin. Brilliant stuff. And thank you, Paul Osborne. This has been the Ask Jasmine Money podcast with Jasmine Birtles and Paul Osborne and friends. You can hear this podcast on iTunes, on YouTube, and on the podcast page on moneymagpie.com. Remember to sign up for the free Money Magpie newsletter. Just click the box on the top right-hand corner of the site. And follow me on Twitter for more news at Jasmine, and Paul gives political commentary at Paul Osborne. Come back next month for new ways to make money in September.